Hi everyone. Today I'll be doing a review on the KingKutter Professional Tiller version. This tiller is 5 feet wide and I bought it off of Rural King up in Gainesville, Florida. I purchased this online. I live in Puerto Rico, so basically I needed to find a freight company to ship it over. I contacted a couple companies and finally I went ahead and do business with CBX Global. They offered me a good option as to basically going over to the store and picking up the item themselves. So I didn't have to find anybody or actually be there to pick up the item and then bring it over to the port. So here I'm receiving the item. I'm very happy how they did business with me. They were very helpful and very friendly along the way. There were a lot of gray areas I didn't understand and didn't know the exact process, and they helped me out. I'm also here testing these forklifts I bought out of Amazon. So these forklifts are rated at 1,500 pounds. My loader is rated at 1,000 pounds, and the tiller weighs in at around close to 700 pounds. So I'm well within the numbers. This all should work well, which it actually did. I was kind of scared at the beginning, but all the numbers are within their limits. So once I start pulling up the tiller, you might see that my wheels go a little bit flat out. There was air missing in the air pressure missing in the wheels. So once I was able to lift the tiller, it was a little bit of a hassle to turn that steering wheel because it went really heavy. So once I pull it up, I was able to get it away at a safe distance from the truck and lowered it at a angle and at a distance from the floor to where it doesn't represent any issues to the tractor and or danger of it flipping over. So as most of you already know, every time you have heavy loads in your bucket, you should transport them and move around with them as close to the ground as possible. This is basically because it'll help out your center of gravity. Another thing you might see is that I have my mower in the back. I left it on just for balance and for a little bit of more weight in the rear. I actually didn't know how the tractor was gonna react with so much weight up in front. There was a pretty tight space in between the truck and my cars, so there was enough space, but not enough for me to move completely. So I gotta wiggle around a little bit to move into the direction I want to place down the tiller. Here we take a closer look at the actual tiller. We see it's the King Cutter professional version, it's gear driven, and we could see how well it is actually packed in this wooden crate. You see the PTO shaft, and all the little instructions on how to mount it. So basically we can see here also that this is the 6 tin per flange version, and we could actually see how thick the metal is. This is the heavy duty version, so the metal is pretty thick. Here I'm taking out the PTO shaft. It was actually just tied by this uh, metal fencing type of material. Even though, although it's pretty strong, it wasn't so thin as the actual fence material. You could see it also has a clutch into it. This is gonna help out a lot. So the clutch basically is gonna slip every time it hits a rock or catches on something. And at least for this implement, I think it's pretty important for it to have a clutch and not a shear bolt. At this point, I'm with the pry bar trying to rip out the actual metal straps, which were pretty well tight there. So I continue to try to take out as much as possible. You could see the when I make pressure to it, the whole tiller is just wiggling around. It got to a point where I thought it was kind of dangerous to continue to remove the wooden uh, parts of the crate, and just basically took it to a point where I could actually attach the tractor. So here basically I'm attaching the tractor just in case. So at this point the only wooden frame in front of the actual tiller was this one on the right side, which is right in front of the camera. So I attached the tiller to the tractor just in case when I pulled that out, if it wanted to tip over or slip, it was already hooked up and would be in place. Here I have my dad on the tractor helping me out. So basically, once the 3 points were hooked on, all we did was lift it a little bit and then ride out, and that was it. So now let's take a look at where we would actually put in the gear oil and the actual grease. Remember, the PTO shaft has its fittings to be greased as well, just like any other PTO shaft. And the tiller also has its fittings for the grease. So here we see this little screw right here. You take that out for the gear oil. Here we have the grease fitting. Needs to be greased there. And on the other side here, we take this out and you'll take this one out as well. And you continue to pour the gear oil from the top until it starts pouring out that little one. The same procedure would go to the one in the transmission. It has one right in front of where the PTO shaft will be connected to. So here I made a couple passes as you may see. I was trying to make some adjustments initially, given that my tractor is not a very powerful tractor, and this is really dry, compacted dirt. Plus the grass was a little bit high. It was about 12 to 18 inches. So it was a pretty rough place to test it out, but it worked pretty well. So my tractor is only a 30 horsepower tractor, a Kubota 2010 L2800 Extra. So once it kept on rolling and kept on chewing up the dirt, it worked extremely well. I did about a 50% overlap just not to push it over and make it work more than what it should have. And this is basically thinking from the tractor perspective. The tiller worked absolutely fine. I found out that the limitations I encountered were not due to the tiller. Instead, it was due to the power of the actual tractor. Now, this tiller is rated for a 25 horsepower up to a 45 horsepower, I believe are the ranges, and mine's a 30, so I thought it was within the expected rates, and it was, but there's a little adjustments. So when I saw that it was trying to jump too much and it wasn't chopping up the dirt as expected, I just lifted it up a little bit and continued in first gear around 2,500 RPM, and continued in first gear and lowered it slowly. Here you see me lift it up. I do not turn it on. I let it run a little bit so it could clean out. If it had any dirt in it there, you saw a little bit of dirt flying out. And once I start over again on this pass, you'll see I try to lower it slowly so it can continue to chop up that dirt and till that dirt without the tractor getting clogged up and trying to stall on me. Which had happened with the first time I turned it on and slammed it down and it just stalled. So from there, I tried to readjust the actual management and the driving of the tractor and how I was managing the implement. Once it starts tilling, there's no stopping it. It ran great, and this is the final result. So here you see, I went through a couple of passes. You could see the marks as it went along, and you'll also see that the grass was also integrated tilled along with the dirt. Now, from a organic perspective, this is pretty cool because you could mix it up and you're not actually taking away any nutrients of that dirt. So it's pretty cool to see how everything flowed together in this pretty harsh, compacted, dry dirt. So here you can see how it looks and how it works. Here's another view, and you could take a closer look as to how it actually chopped everything together and tilled that dirt pretty well. At least for the horsepower I'm working with, it did an excellent job. So hope this was helpful. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.